Do you realize how much freedom to you? He works for a big company and earns a monthly salary of ours. You are supposed to be at home and supporting your husband, who is doing the hard work and protecting the family. And yet, no matter how much I tell, keep getting cocky like that. I've had enough of this. You and Tyler need to get a divorce.
With these words, my mother-in-law pulled out the divorce papers from a drawer. My name is Mona, a 34-year-old office worker. I am looking for someone who can help me with my English writing skills. My husband, Tyler, and I have been married for 5 years. We had been living happily since we got married, but our relationship started to fail because of one thing. That trigger was my mother-in-law. My husband and I originally lived to a rented apartment. However, about 2 years ago, my father-in-law passed away due to illness. My mother-in-law, who was now alone, pushed us to live with her. To be honest, I was against the idea of moving in together. I wanted to enjoy my time as a coupé. We were to live together. I would live at my parents-in-law's house. I was very happy with the apartment renting and did not want to move. However, my mother-in-law started coming over to our house repeatedly after she stated that she wanted to live with us. At first, my husband said,
"You're fine on your own, aren't you?"
but when she kept coming over, it became a hassle.
"Hey Mona, my mom's insisting so much on moving in with us."
Tyler had started to give in to her pushiness. As a result, it became 2 against. And so, this is how it started. Living with my in-laws was a living hell. My mother-in-law is an old-fashioned person, and she did like the fact that her daughter-in-law was working.
Why does Tyler come home before you? Normally, a wife cooks dinner and her husband, right? You're a lousy wife to work for and neglect the housework.
My mother-in-law says something and blames me every day.
I don't work for money to play. I play for money to live. I don't work for money to play. I play for money to live.
I told her so, but she didn't listen at all.
It's no use trying to deceive me, one. Tyler's earnings are enough for us should quit your job.
That's how my mother-in-law told me my job.
"Stop it, Mom. Mono is working for our family. Don't tell her to limit herself, little one."
My husband comes in to protect me when my mother-in-law blames me. My mother-in-law is at a loss for words because her only son, my husband, talks back. It's like she doesn't want to fight with her precious son.
It seems that you have been brainwashed. You'll have to break that brainwashing someday.
My mother-in-law says that to me when my husband is not around. I don't know if she just wants to be or if she has her head stuck in the thinking. But either way, wish she would be flexible. After all, she was the one who requested to live together in the first place. My mother-in-law soon stopped nagging at my husband when he was around because my husband protected me every time. However, when my husband is away, I write away.
Why do you let Tyler wash the dishes that feed you? I can't believe it either.
This is a rule that my husband and I have together. Tyler can't cook, so I cook every night. Tyler does the dishes.
When I say this, my mother-in-law is disgusted.
When I was young like you, we were allowed to do that. And after making such a bad dish, how dare you talk like that? You should ask him to do the dishes. You make better food.
Seriously, I could just make her ski every day. I usually cooked with a light flavor. This is because my husband's health results were not so good. And my mother-in-law is also old, so she should take care of her health. That's why I keep the seasoning light. Had no reason to complain about it. If she didn't like it, she should have done it herself. And I still have other complaints about my mother-in-law. She spends too much money. She frequently buys new clothes and luxury brand bags. I always frown when I see her match clothes she buys in front of the mirror.
Did you buy clothes again?
What? Are you complaining? It's not like you are paying for it. Tyler earns a lot of money, so that live a rich life like this if you're jealous. I gave birth to him, so you should be grateful. To say the truth, I wish you'd use money for me rather than playing Arcade. I
Was horrified. My mother-in-law would spend it all in a heartbeat if I gave her my salary. I would never do such a thing. Fortunately, I had already converted my own bank book into an Eon. So there was no need to worry about it being seen. The one for the shared account is hi my room, i.e. Still, it is hard for me not to tell the truth to my mother-in-law. In fact, if you compare my husband with mine are much higher. I work as an employee of a general and am currently in the position of manager. On top of that, on weekends, I make use of the certification I have and teach English online. I am a pretty popular teacher if I myself. So when I combine my income from WC as a company employee and an English teacher, it's quite a lot. On the other hand, my husband worked for a large company, but his job was stressful and he became mentally ill. As a result, he had to resign from his position as a full-time employee and is currently seeking a new part-time job. However, we have been living like that for about 2 years now. I think he is not planning to look for a full-time job. When we moved in together, my husband told me that he didn't want his mother to know about us. He asked me not to tell his mother that he had resigned from his job due to an illness. He said that if she found out, she to his former company to yell at them. I am sure that his mother, who loves very much, would do something like, I did as my husband asked and promised to tell his mother about our income. However, she always says that my husband earns money to support me, when even her wasteful spending come income. I don't understand why she treats me so poorly. Stress built up inside me little by. Then one day, I received a call from of mine who had not seen me for months because she was busy. I was happy to hear from her out of,
Hey, what's up?
Oh, Mona, your husband hasn't found a new job yet?
No, he hasn't. Why are you talking about my husband?
I was just driving through town on back from my client's place. 1. I saw your husband walking arm in young girl.
What? My mind went blank. My husband having an affair? That's impossible. We are a close couple, even though we sometimes fight. My husband protects me from my mother, and we have normal conversations. But I can't believe he has a hair affair. But I don't think my friend is joking, since I haven't heard from her in a while. And she is calling me during the day working. She is not the kind of friend who is a prank like that. My mind was a jumble of feelings, trying to believe my husband and feeling uncertain. I decided that I had no choice but to take action, so I asked for a credit report to be conducted. I was really restless for a few weeks, but the results of the investigation can, and that's the same time when my mother-in-law was being troublesome.
Tyler, I want to go on an overseas trip.
What? Overseas? Why all of a sudden?
My friend's son gave her a trip to celebrate her 60th birthday. So I wanted to go on a trip to your birthday too.
See below for spelling and grammar mistakes. You are turning 60 this year, huh?
My husband crossed his arms and started thinking in front of me. No, it's not your problem. I'm paying for it. And I am absolutely against it. I was thinking such a thing in my mind. I was distrustful of my husband, but as there was no evidence yet, I tried not to talk about our income. Then My husband agreed to do it. I couldn't help but butt in.
Don't just decide on that without me. A trip to Europe can be very expensive.
I said in a slight panic, and as my mother-in-law started to attack me.
What? I didn't ask you for anything. I'm asking Tyler, you don't bring money into this house. You don't even do any of the housework. So don't interrupt me. I have things to do.
And then she continued.
You know, I'm not sure if it's just me or if perhaps everyone else experiencing issues with your website. It appears as though some written text within your content are running off the screen. Can someone else please comment and let me know if this is happening to them too? This could be an issue with my internet browser because I've had this happen before. Do you realize how much freedom Ty? He works for a big company and earns a monthly salary of ours, $50,000. You are supposed to be at home and supporting your husband who is doing work and protecting the family. And yet, no matter how much I keep getting cocky like that. I've had enough of this. You and Tyler need to get a divorce.
My mother-in-law told me to divorce my husband. This surprised my husband as well as me.
What are you talking about? Don't decide our divorce.
Tyler, you are deceived by this one. She's just using you for her own convenience. If you stay with her, you will be. So break it off.
Saying this, my mother-in-law pulled out a divorce paper from the drawer. My husband, who didn't think she had even prepared such a thing, was obviously surprised.
Mom, come on. Why do you even have divorce papers?
My husband apparently has no intent divorcing me. At that time, I had a faint hope. I thought that the reason my husband wanted to divorce me was because he had found someone else, and that what my friend had seen was else. I wanted to believe that my husband wasn't having an affair, and that he loved me, and only me. I wanted to believe that. So I refused to sign the divorce pay as my husband had refused. However, my faint hopes soon went drain. I received a letter from the credit reporting agency informing me of the results of their investigation. When I checked the contents, I found several photographs of my husband. It was obvious my husband was having an affair. I was shocked. At the same time, I was furious. I knew that my husband had been good husband at home, but behind was having a good time with a young. The woman he was having an affair with was a waitress at a cafe where he worked. She was 24 years old, 10 years young, my husband. I guess it was because she was so young, my love for my husband instantly disappeared. Then, around that time, my mother-own booked a trip to Europe. Of course, I had no intention of going to my mother-in-law's house with a triumphant look on my face.
Mona, you are staying at home, okay? You always spend too much of Tyler as much as you want.
She said, I don't want to pay for the oversea, my husband, who is having an affair, and my mother-in-law, who is a bully. So I whispered to my husband,
You're going to have to use your of this time. My husband got quite upset and whispered back,
Would you like to know more about our products? It's a married couple's business. Have to pay for it.
It seems that he intends to rely on his own resources. Now, it was clear that my husband only sees me as a convenient housekeeper who earns money for him.
I'm divorcing you.
Why do people get divorced?
I had said this in a voice that every mother-in-law could hear, and she brought the divorce papers with a very happy smile on her face.
So, you finally decided to move this house. Isn't it great news, Tyler? Now you won't have to throw your mick in the drain.
Tyler couldn't seem to tell his true mother because he had kept it from her so long. He signed the divorce papers under Mother's presence. I said as I packed up my belongings. My mother-in-law grinned triumphantly and said, I won't help you even if you beg. I won't help you even if you die. He walked me out. My husband had his head down without a word. I went back to my parents' house. My part of the divorce papers, had my parents sign the witness box, submitted the divorce papers to the government office. Then, of course, I sent a letter through my lawyer to Tyler's affair partner's workplace. I blocked his contact information so he couldn't contact me even if he needed to. But instead, he came to my parents alone. I didn't want to see him, so my father handled it. Tyler insisted that he could not pay. I guess he had not told his mother yet, seeing that she was not there. My father turned Tyler away so I never had to see his face. And he made him promise to pay me the lawyer, even if it was in installments. But then, about 3 months later, this time, my ex-mother-in-law and ex-husband came to my parents' house together. I was living at home with my parents, so I was there just when it came. Again, my father handled the situation well. My mother and I listened and watched as he spoke. Then, I heard my ex-mother-in-law say, I'll be back in a minute.
Why have all the lifelines in ours stopped? Your daughter must have done something really special to make you so proud of her. She's not taking Tyler's salary, is...
I heard such a voice, and I was so impressed that a woman could be so confident. She never admits that her own son is fault, and she just wants to make me guy. I kind of felt sorry for my ex-mother-in-law and decided to show my face in front of her. When my ex-mother-in-law noticed me, she widened her eyes and yelled at me.
You finally showed your face. You've put both Tyler and me in trouble. I don't know how you did it, but you got the power and water back on. I didn't even get to go to Europe for my 60th birthday celebration because of...
I would like to calmly tell you that I am not in charge of paying utility and so on after our divorce. I leave all that to Tyler. If the lifeline is stopped, will Tyler's salary not be enough to pay it?
When I said that, my ex-mother-in-law in her voice.
Are you stupid? Tyler works for a big company and $5,000 a month. How can he not be able to pay the...
Apparently, Tyler hasn't told his mom about it all. I showed her my tax slip to show her the reality.
This is my income from my company, is my income from teaching English.
You can also use the edit button to make changes to your post.
My ex-mother-in-law was clearly superstitious. Then she took a close look at the tax slip, and her eyes widened.
Well, it looks like it's true that you receive about $5,000 a month. Then what about Tyler's salary?
If it's the same as it was before we broke up, he's a part-time worker at a cafe. I'd say his take-home pay is about $1,000 a month. And since he has to pay alimony, I bet he has very little money for expenses, right?
Isn't Tyler a businessman working company?
My ex-mother-in-law was about to company because the reality was so far away, she thought it was. Tyler looked uncomfortable.
I've been meaning to tell you.
He apologized. Then she started to say something outrageous.
Mona, I'm sorry. I said selfish things without knowing anything about you. I will reflect on what I said, so come back.
What in the world is this person about?
How can you ask me to come back under these circumstances? I am already divorced from Tyler strangers. There's no reason for me to go back, and I'll still have to support you if I did. Who would want to go back in that situation? If you stay here any longer, I will call the police. Please leave as soon as possible.
When I said this calmly, my ex-mother-in-law and ex-husband made a pathetic sound left. Then I put a restraining order in place so that I could report my ex-husband or ex-mother-in-law if they appeared near me. As for the two after that, I sent the proof of the affair to the cafe, and people at work started giving me cold shoulders. He had no choice but to quit his Jot Cafe with his partner. However, he had to pay for the alimony that his ex-wife was currently receiving. In the end, he is working as much as when he was mentally ill at his form company. It looks like his affair partner has moved in, and he is now living with his mother. However, my ex-mother-in-law is starting to show symptoms of dementia, so he has to work hard to pay off him, while also taking care of his mother. It served them right. On the other hand, I continue to like parents and save money at a very fast pace. In fact, I'm currently saving quite money. I'm planning to invest in the near further increase my assets and aim semi-retired in a few years.